Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest today. We have an encore visit from an author. She lives in Grafton, and her name is Ann Davidson. Welcome back, Ann.
Thank you.
And the book that you had on before with us, was that part of Catherine's Cadeau, or was that what was that one?
Oh, that was a different one.
That was a different one.
On a different subject.
Gosh, we think it must have been 4 or 5 years. Well, let's see. Yeah, at least ago before.
Yes.
Now she has Catherine's Cadeau, and she's going to, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, and she is going to tell us all about it. What's behind this?
Well, the history is based on where I grew up in Nova Scotia, Canada.
Yeah.
And as I was growing up, the things were changing as far as the Acadian story. And the Acadians had been what they called expelled from Nova Scotia and New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island back in the mid-1700s. And when the wars between England and France were going on and they were passing territories back and forth, and you know, regular people are kind of pawns in that game, and that's what the Acadians were, and they had lived there for several generations at least. So I was learning about the Acadian story. It had always been told that they refused to take an oath of allegiance to the British Crown.
Yeah, I can believe that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they were actually, when they were gathered up, were declared prisoners of the British Crown, which was kind of a little bit of a fallacy. But my sixth grade teacher was very influential in telling the story, you know, kind of from a different angle that sparked something in me.
Yeah.
Where I just thought, wow, they were treated really badly.
Yeah.
And
The Arcadians, did they come over from Scotland?
No, they came over from, there's no R in it, although a lot of people think there is. It's Acadians.
Acadian.
Yeah. And they came from the coast of France.
Now, I hadn't known that. I thought Nova Scotia was basically Celtic,
Yeah.
Irish, Scottish, you know.
Well, it became that after the French were removed. There was there were immigrations, but also a lot of settlers came up from New England area.
Yeah.
And took plots of land. They wanted all English speakers there.
Yeah.
So they just took plots of land that had
And that was it.
been Acadian.
And your
lands.
main person is Monique LeBlanc.
Mm-hmm.
And she disappears from Nova Scotia, and her cousin Michelle is panic-stricken. What's that now?
Well, Monique is a Cajun girl, and a lot of people don't know that when the Acadians were dispersed all over the place, the war was still going on. It took a few years for it to end, and when it ended, settlements started going. People started to settle in Louisiana, and they could settle there because it was a Catholic colony, and they were welcomed there, whereas they weren't welcomed in the Protestant,
Right.
English-speaking colonies. So a very important person who who tried to fight to get Acadia back, ended up leading the first settlement to Louisiana.
I wouldn't have connected the two, but
Yeah.
the French, in Louisiana, they speak a form of French.
They speak Cajun French, but
We call Canuck. Canuck. And I learned Parisian.
Yeah.
Can you speak French?
well, I took a lot of French in school.
So did I, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
but-
either that or Spanish. They gave you a choice.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't remember having a choice, but I wanted to learn French anyway. I
Yeah.
liked the language, and Canada was,
Yeah.
that was a time when Canada was they were working toward a bilingual country.
Yeah.
And so,
And
yeah.
she grew up in Nova Scotia. And ironically, my grandfather also grew up in Spring Hill, and you grew up in what was it?
Port Williams.
Port Williams. How far is that from Spring Hill?
It's a ways.
You were on the coast, right?
Yeah.
And he was inland. Spring Hill. I remember going up at 21 years old with my parents. That's a long haul from Wilbraham, Mass.
It
to
is.
Nova Scotia.
I know.
I am not a
Yeah.
good traveler either. But we've got pictures of me like clipping around the graves of the people, his family who died there.
Yeah. That's nice to have, too.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we went up, I think we went through, wow, St. John, Canada.
Yeah.
You go through St. John, New Brunswick, or whatever, to get there.
Yeah, you do. It's the Trans-Canada Highway down through New Brunswick, and then you would get to, where do you go? I think Truro. Do you remember Truro?
There's a Truro in the Cape. But I don't
Yeah,
remember.
there is a Truro on the Cape,
Yeah.
but this is Truro, Nova Scotia. And I would go, I'd have to think. I would go west
Yeah.
to get to Port Williams, and you would go east
You were born in Nova Scotia.
to get to Spring Hill. Yes.
So you were born. How many years did you spend before you came to the States?
I was there I was 27.
You spent a good amount of time
Yeah.
out there.
Pretty much half and half right now at this time in my life.
So that inspired you to write your books.
It did. I was working with middle school kids, and they didn't know much Canadian history. And I actually had two middle school kids of my own
Yeah.
who said, Canadian history is boring, Mom. Nobody wants to learn about that. But I said, well, I think they do want
Yeah.
to learn about this.
Definitely.
And so, yeah, I was just inspired to... A teacher gave me an opportunity to do a lesson plan about the Acadians and the deportations. And so I presented it to an 8th grade class, and I don't know. Then it all started to...
They liked it?
Yes, they
Yeah.
did.
Well,
yeah.
Catherine in the book is her mother, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Catherine...
Catherine has passed away,
Yeah.
but she became interested in her Acadian ancestors before she died. And when Monique goes to Grand Prairie, she actually takes a picture of her mother with her
Yeah.
because they had talked about going to visit before her mother passed.
Right.
And so she's kind of fulfilling a little dream.
She's fulfilling it.
Yeah.
What does cadeau mean? I don't know. I forgot.
That's okay. It means gift. in
Catherine's
French.
gift. So that would be her mother's gift. In other words, the heritage is that.
Yes.
The heritage of it.
Yeah.
Who picked out this fantastic cover? Did you?
That was designed. I met up with my co-author. I had written a draft of the book and sent it off. I was just trying to find somebody interested in helping me.
Yeah.
And just he received an email from a Louisiana Historical Society and followed it up because he was like the time travel idea.
Yeah.
And his son is a graphic designer.
Terry Thibodeau?
Terry is my co-author.
Co-author, yeah.
Because we kind of went through the whole thing again together.
Right.
Through emails, we didn't meet until after the book was published, which was fun to meet
You
him
mean you
finally.
co-wrote a book just by emails alone?
Yep. We did a couple of phone calls, but mostly by emails.
How did you meet him again? How did... That's unusual.
A fluky, a fluke. Well, not really, but I had sent an email to it's a French culture society in Louisiana, and somebody sent it to him.
And he got it?
Yeah, and he said he almost deleted it because he thought he didn't know what it was, and he was just going to delete it. But then he read it, and then he got in touch with me.
I bet you were surprised.
Yeah, I was very happy, and then we decided to start collaborating and
Yeah.
went through the whole thing. He, of course, he's from Cajun country, so he knew
Yeah.
I had written some things, and he said, "No, that's not how it is here."
No,
And I
it's
said,
okay.
"Well, then you write."
So he helped you. He helped you.
He did.
And you helped him.
Yeah,
Did you ever meet him?
yeah. I met him in 2010.
Your co-author, you finally... How long had you been spending on this before you met him?
Well, we published it in 2008.
So you didn't meet him until afterwards.
No.
How
Yeah.
did he come up here or did you go down there?
I went down there. my daughter and I took a trip, and we went. He is a professor in Texas at a state university, and he teaches. He teaches the Cajun culture.
Yeah,
as
right in the
part of
back.
his-
He's lived and worked in Huntsville, Texas for 20 years.
Mhm.
Now, his son, wait a minute now, Mark Thibodeau, Terry's son, Mark, is the one that did the cover.
Yes.
So Terry must have knew that his son was very talented this way.
Yeah, so, I mean, it came up in our conversation, and it sounded like a great idea. His son was going to the same university that
Right.
his father taught at, and
Are this now? It looks like two children reaching out to each other with a ghost in the background. Is that Catherine in the background?
nope, that is the statue of Evangeline
Evangeline.
that can be found at. I actually brought a picture.
I've heard of Evangeline. She's in Arcadia, right?
She's in Grand Pré, and
Grand Pré. Where is that?
that's in Nova Scotia.
Grand Pré,
very,
Nova Scotia.
very close to where I grew up.
Yeah.
So as I was growing up, the park was being built up, and Acadians were taking more pride in their culture and learning about it. And I even think they began to realize only then that they were connected to Cajuns. So
Well, so in Nova Scotia, were there primarily the Protestants, or
yeah, there in Nova Scotia there isn't a big Acadian population. There are some, but in New Brunswick, there's around Moncton, New Brunswick, and all over southern New Brunswick. There's
that doesn't surprise me because mostly the Scots. Well, the Irish most of the Irish, unless they were Orange Irish, would be Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
The Scots were they were mostly Protestant.
Mhm.
I think there
I
are
think
some
so.
Catholic Scots, but that is a beauty, and that still stands today.
Yes,
the
it
statue
does.
of.
It's in the park, and this chapel is. This is the little chapel. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, he was
got it.
showing a picture of it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Have
So
you
that-
been in it?
Yes.
You have. You've been in
yes,
that.
Yeah.
We are talking with Anne Davidson, and she is the author of Catherine's Cadeau. And cadeau in French means gift. And this mother had died. And it's based on Anne's experience having been born and raised in Nova Scotia. And it's kind of a mystery, wouldn't you say?
Yes, the picture is of. This is a young woman. This is the young Cajun woman who's in the park one night by herself. She couldn't. The person who was supposed to go with her didn't. She couldn't get a hold of him, so she went by herself.
Yeah.
And she meets up. This is an elderly man who
It looks
tells.
like a kid. Okay.
Yeah, and he tells her about the Acadians.
Mm-hmm.
And invites her to come back and live through the expulsion, or the deportations as they're called now. And at first she's a little scared. She's
Yeah,
scared,
yeah, right.
But then she decides to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
And that's how the story evolves.
yeah,
How can they get your book, copy of your book?
I have copies, and I have quite a few at my place.
Mm-hmm.
That they wanted to get rid of some inventory of them, so I bought them for a very good price.
How would they connect with you?
I can give my email
Of
address.
course, sure.
I don't know, should I give a phone number? Is
No,
that-
I would just give your email so that they can connect with you.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So, do I just say what it is
Sure,
now?
yeah.
It's ANNMCKINNON 2001 at yahoo.ca. It's not .com.
Yeah, I goofed when I've been trying. Once in a while, I think, what's that thing? Mailer demon comes on your
Yeah,
thing.
yes.
And I'm like, what did I do wrong? Like, it's .ca, not our regular
I
.com.
know. There's Yahoo Canada, and somehow when I got the account, it ended up being a Yahoo Canada.
Well, if anybody out there, you're from Nova Scotia, you've got Acadian background or whatever,
Yes.
good to get in touch with Anne because she, like I said, she was born and raised there, and she has written. Now, this is your first book in this series, right?
Yes.
Catherine's Cadeau. She wanted to talk about her next one. What's the next one?
Yes, I did want to add that I sell them for $15.
Okay.
Okay, so the sequel is the second part of the story. When most people in back decades ago or before that, they just heard the story about the Acadians who were expelled. A lot of it came to light through the work of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem Evangeline, and so they didn't hear the part that there was a group of people who hid in the woods. They were very connected with the Micmac tribe.
Okay, the Micmacs, yeah.
And the French were. They got along, and the Micmac helped them hide and helped them fight against the British enemy and try to take their lands back. But they were way outgunned.
Yeah.
But they fought for a few years, and a particular man called Joseph Broussard, his nickname was Beausoleil, and he was their leader, and they had a little camp up in northern New Brunswick, and the conditions were just dreadful. But they hung in there for a few years, and he fought hard, and he was a big threat to the British enemy. They wanted to capture him.
Yeah.
And then finally he had to give up because his people, it was just a lost cause.
Sure.
And he was imprisoned at that time.
Where did they imprison him? That's interesting.
They imprisoned him and the other people that they caught who were up in the northern camp.
Northern of Nova Scotia or northern of Acadia?
No, northern New Brunswick. I think I have a map, so maybe make it more clear.
So where you grew up, on the port part of Nova Scotia, was it mainly Scottish? Was it French, Acadian? What was it? Was it Acadian or was it...
This was the Acadia region, and Prince Edward Island and Cape Breton was part of that, too. That was all part of it.
So where you grew up,
I'm sorry.
was it more Scottish, would you find?
Yeah, it was a mix.
A mix of French and Scottish. German.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
The Germans?
It was a mix of, but a lot of.
What's the title of your next book going to be, the sequel to this?
It's called Answers from the Past.
And it's going to be based on Catherine's...
It's the same characters, and Monique, in this story, returns... what happens, how I did the story, was that she vanishes, and people are looking for her. Like, there's a big search. It's kind of nationwide. It's known that this girl has disappeared, and there's a big search. And then there's several chapters about her life in the past.
Yeah.
Then we come back. She's actually only gone a week, but it's about 4 months in the past time. And during that time, she gets married and she becomes pregnant. And when she comes back pregnant.
Yeah.
And then the first chapter of the sequel, she has been kidnapped by the man who thinks that he's the father, and she's being rescued by someone.
Yeah.
In that first chapter, she's being rescued from the kidnapping, and
so it goes on to tell her tale, her journey.
Yes, and it what happened to her is very disturbing to her, and she, there's mental health kind of piece to it, and her family and her friends, how they're involved, and her professor, who's a very big, important character,
right.
Who has taught, she learned everything about her culture in his class.
When's your next book going to come out?
Well, I've done a couple of drafts at the end, but I haven't finished up
Not yet.
what I want to do at the end. So
where have you been presenting about Catherine's Cadeau?
I went to a library recently.
Where were you? Which one?
Sutton.
Sutton, yeah.
And where else have I been?
Have you been to Tatnuck or
No,
Book
I
Lovers
haven't.
Gourmet? You'd love those.
Yeah, I should.
Book Lovers
Go
Gourmet in
talk to-
Webster. Deb Bourne runs that.
Oh.
She runs a great. I send a lot of my authors up there.
Oh,
Tatnuck right over here in Westboro.
Yeah,
Both places are extremely open to authors.
I think I sent them a letter, but I need to go.
You need to Tatnuck.
Yeah.
You need. Yeah, I've got the. I can send it to you all the information, the contact person and
Well, that
everything.
would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get you over there. They do a nice job. You walk into Tatnuck. They've got a. Oh God. An easel with the schedule and pictures of the authors and their books coming up and when
Yeah.
they're going to be there.
Oh.
They've got a lovely back room if you want to make
Yeah.
a presentation.
Mhm.
It's right there.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. I sound like I'm a marketer for them, but I just think they're great, as is Book Lovers Gourmet right over in Webster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll check those out. I went to. I find that the presentation or the interview, this type of thing, these venues work much better than if I go and have a table somewhere.
Even to that. Yeah, there are a few authors, and I work with them, that they're a little shy at first. And they say, well, I'm not ready for the big room yet. I'm like, it's okay. At Tatnuck, this wouldn't apply to you because you're not shy. But,
Well,
you know,
yeah.
they'll set up a little table for you, not far from the entrance.
Yeah.
And you can kind of sit there and, hi, how are you? And people will come and see your book. So it's not all lost.
Yeah.
But I do always recommend get to the point where you can give your presentation so people relate to you in the book.
Yes.
Really. Where else have you been? Anywhere else been?
I went to Westboro Library, invited me to one of their schools, which it was a Sunday, I believe, and they had an local authors.
Oh, right there on the first floor.
Yeah.
I went to one of those, and I wonder if you were there. No, I don't think. How long ago
I
was
don't
that?
remember seeing you. It wasn't very long.
No, it was long. It was a couple years ago. I think.
Oh,
it
no,
was.
this was just maybe in November.
They squash in quite a few right there, like in the teens section, and then
Yeah.
over near the fireplace, the living room area.
There were young authors there, which was nice too.
Yeah.
know.
How did you do? Did you get?
I only sold one book there, but it was good because it was someone who was connected with Prince Edward Island, which is
Ah.
in the sequel.
Would you call it historical fiction?
Yes.
You would,
Yeah.
but it's also a mystery.
Yes.
So you know, if you're both, if you like historical fiction and you like
Yeah.
mystery, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
Again, Anne, how can they get a hold of a book? How would they get a hold of you? They'd like to buy one of your books.
They can email me at, should I say it again?
Sure,
Okay.
yeah.
At ANNMCKINNON, that's my maiden name when I grew up in Nova Scotia. I'm sorry, I'll start again.
Go ahead.
ANNMCKINNON 2001 at yahoo.ca. And in the, what do you call that? The message little place there where you can.
Are you talking about Facebook?
No, I'm talking about email.
Reply. Or yeah, just
So
send.
there's a little section there that that's the thing you see, like if
Sure.
somebody sent something back.
Yeah.
Just say book inquiry.
Sure. How do I get a hold of your great book, Catherine's Cadeau?
Yes.
Now, there's going to be a copy downstairs in the Upton Library. Am I right?
Yeah.
There's going to be one there. I
Yeah.
bet Sutton must have a copy too.
Well, you can order it through C.W. Mars.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You do. No, you're at a website. You have your own website
I have my own Facebook page
Okay.
for Catherine's Cadeau.
for that one.
Yeah.
And you think that the next one will be out maybe in a couple months?
I don't know if it'll be out in a couple months. I expect to be finished with it, but it has to go through a review process with the publisher that we work with.
That's good. Don't move to Florida until we see the next one, okay? Just don't go anywhere. I know, I was sharing with her, I used to live in Grafton too, and they did something to that Dunkin' Donuts. They built onto it? What is that? Like a special...
Oh yeah, and now there's two ways to go through the drive-through.
Oh, 2 ways. It's for the drive-through?
I think so.
Okay. All right,
think
because I
so.
couldn't figure it out. One time I was going...
Yeah, I just always use the same one, the first one, because
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, this is great. It's been great to have Anne back again. Gosh, it's been, well, we moved here in 2015. Oh, boy, 4 or 5 years since we saw you the first time. And, it's,
I think it was 2015.
you haven't changed.
I mean, I think it was 2014.
Yeah, you have not changed.
Oh,
As soon as you
thank
walked in the door, I knew you were.
Yeah.
Some people, 4 or 5 years goes by, and who is that? But you didn't change. You look great.
You look wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, Catherine's Cadeau, based on the Nova Scotian background of our author, Anne Davidson. Grab a copy downstairs or contact her on her email and read it. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll see you next time. I'll be my guest.